Well, yeah, scapegoats. That's what I recommend. Everyone needs a
Scapegoats.
scapegoat. That'll be a fantastic account name, actually. Scapegoat.
Alright, so here we go. We do have the 3v3 on the Team Arena G map. So this is, alright, this is a map I do know, so I have high expectations that I won't make too much of an ass of myself.
This is ever popular. I mean, Violet, I know, has played a lot of this map. Gandalf has played a lot of this map. Trilith, Octobomb, and Ebbia, I'm not actually sure. I think that between the two, even if they've played it a lot, they're still the least experienced team.
I have fixed V somewhere. Can't find it though. So there's a V somewhere on here? What?
I'm not sure. Gandalf occasionally just likes to talk in cryptic clues and comments, you know.
Of course.
It's completely indecipherable.
Of course. Interestingly enough, no, everything's actually kind of the same. There used to be a lot of metal though in between the different spawns, but it looks like they've changed that. And actually, if you add some pings, it almost turns into a smiley face. So, of course, that might just be the 4 a.m. brain talking. But either way, we should be getting into this kind of soon. Well, Lucky Red, your thoughts. Let's kind of get into who do you think is going to kind of pull it out of this one. I'm going to go with Pink on this one. Of course, it might just be because I know all the players on Pink, so of course I'm going to root for the people I know. But in 2 seconds, we will find out who is the best team. Hang on a minute.
Well, I don't know if I would go so far as to say the best team, but if I had to say
or the better,
I would definitely say it's going to be Pink.
Alright. Well, confused me for a minute because I saw literally what was 2 commanders fall on the exact same spot of what was 1, so let's hope we can get something. It looks like, sorry about that, I'm going to cut you off there because I'm a jerk, but every player on Brown going for, oh no, never mind, I thought I saw one of everything, but we didn't get that. We did get the bots and the air, while Pink going for basically just bots because bots are better.
Yeah, I feel that Pink is, this seems to be strategy. They seem to be going for a very aggressive comp push down one of the lanes while building production in factories. Meanwhile, I would expect that, you know, you'll have one player at the back doing eco up, while the second player sort of acts as the go-between, alternatively sending forces between the front and the back, depending on where they're needed. But neither team really building up much of an air force yet, or really planning one, which is quite surprising considering air can be very, very dominant on this map, given its own way.
Well, I was gonna say, actually, of course, to correct you, since I need to find some way to get you back for the Thunderdome. Of course, Brown is actually going for a very strong air, and actually, if we look at the build orders, just kind of holding down that shift key and throwing everything into a kerbopple, the back commander is going for, it looks like 5 air factories, so we are going to see a very strong air out of Brown. Now, in terms of the Pink's Air Force, we do have the lower commander, the one that did spawn next to the bottom lane push commander, I guess. I don't know if that's the right term for it, but that commander will also be going for a lot of air factories. So we will see air out of both teams, but it looks like Pink's will be much slower in the beginning. So hopefully Brown will be able to make some sort of a strong push with what they have in the beginning.
Yeah, this is going to make them vulnerable to Fabas snipes and the like. But having said that, Pink is doing an excellent job of sort of keeping the commanders and the Fabas together for the time being, which is quite unusual. You would usually expect to see, you know, sort of the Fabas running off on their own, claiming the distant mechs.
Sorry, I was really focused on this poor puppy just got straight up sniped by some dogs. Some air units though kind of moving out here, trying to apply some pressure. Ping coming out from the Pink side, letting him know that there are some brown dogs just chilling off in some of the lanes. Though this is exactly what I was talking about, how Brown will have a very strong opening air force until Pink can sort of build a reactionary force. I want to believe in Pink's micro though. They do have some very strong players on their team. If they can micro the dogs, they can quite easily take care of any form of bomber issues with enough dogs, of course. The dogs being able to shoot up, killing off the only bomber that was in that group. So now the anti-air having to fly back, and Pink now starting up their own air factories of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, while docs do have the anti-air capabilities, it is always less effective than just using hummingbirds to have to patrol them and then unpatrol them and move them where you want, and back and forth and back and forth. Still, though, the option is there. What we do see coming out of Pink, though, which is very reminiscent of the last game, is they have a T2 factory queued up. I don't usually like to comment on things until they get built, but it is going up as I say that. So now it's fine, it's fair game. This T2 factory, this T2 bot factory is coming out, which I expect we're going to see early eco expansion into sniper bots.
That sounds like a fantastic prediction, Red. Do you think that possibly rushing tier 2 early like this might just be the quote-unquote meta of the 3v3s? Because we saw that on the last match, that going that early tier 2 was basically what won them the game.
I've suspected it for a while. I have actually been waiting for this tournament with bated breath just to see how many teams would actually pull out the strategy of sort of rushing the T2. The difference between sort of the 3v3 and the 1v1 environment is that with the combined eco of 3 commanders, as well as the combined attention of 3 players able to sort of react to various things, it's a lot easier to throw up a T2 factory much earlier than usual, and the rewards are huge. The rewards are absolutely tremendous. I mean, what is a T2 max compared to a T1? 4 times the eco? That's quite significant.
Yeah, basically. Interesting enough, we do see some back scout planes flying around here for Pink, just kind of making sure there isn't any cheeky back buildings for Brown. But this air army of Brown is getting quite large here, getting quite a few bombers in this mix. There's plenty of anti-air to kind of reduce any hummingbirds that do try and come their way. We are going to see a bit of a skirmish here, and these bombers gonna get picked off. Some of them do survive, but there are still quite a few still remaining on the field. A lot of anti-air, though, for Pink might be able to clean at least this wave of anti-air and bombers off, but not before they manage to get enough damage that I want to say done for their time.
See, Brown is doing a fantastic job at the minute of pushing up, taking the centre of the map. They've built that forward radar. They're aware of Pink's movements. They know what's going on. And I'm sure that they feel that they're doing very, very well because of it. And usually that would be the case. But what they're not aware of, because they haven't scouted, is that T2 going up. And that's really going to be the decider in this match, I would say. I think that's going to give Pink an absolutely enormous advantage that will quickly turn overwhelming if Brown doesn't start responding with their own T2 very soon. Which could be difficult to do, given that they don't know it exists.
Right. Now, looking at not only the players' style, but their mindset. Now, we do know that Brown has this, what I would want to say, safe contain. They do have these docks kind of pushing in and kind of getting a little close. They might lose some of their fabrics, which would be, of course, bad. But having this, basically half the planet secured, knowing that you have this entire planet, and then suddenly tier 2 sniper bots just show up out of nowhere, I don't think that's not only going to really affect their mindset, but that might really affect their gameplay, just because you're playing, you're focusing, you're doing what you think is fantastic, and then suddenly, of course they are getting tier 2 as I'm saying this, suddenly sniper bots out of nowhere.
The game changed just as you were saying that. As you said, that Brown sort of flew a little bomber force into the back of Pink's base, coming up this way. They spotted that T2 factory and immediately responded with their own T2 factory. But they have opted for air, which is a very, very strange choice, because T2 air, generally the consensus is that it is weaker than just about every other T2 factory going. No one would really argue that, you know, the bombers or the fighters or anything stands up to sniper bots or tomahawks or shellers, for example.
Or just anything that can get killed off by mass tier 1, which is generally the consensus. Yeah. Alright, well, I think that might have just been because of their mindset of, well, there they go, they are getting the tier 2 bots, so I think they realized that their air superiority, I think they were going the tier 2 air because they thought that they had a very high superiority count, which obviously as the mass air kind of flew in, killed everything, and then said, how about no, now they're actually on the back foot.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I think the air factory, even as they were building it, they've just reacted instantly to sort of the threat of T2. And who knows, perhaps this Brown player hasn't actually checked what he was building, which would be a little bit embarrassing. Or maybe he's just accidentally cancelled this because he is building it back up now. I'm not quite sure what's going on back there. But ignoring that for the minute, you know, and going back to sort of the real threat, Pink's T2 by this point is actually up. They have brought out the T2 fab as they are building up the eco, as we talked about before, and actually they've stopped producing anything beyond that, which is a bit of a strange choice. They are tanking eco. I think that might be why.
As I said a little bit earlier when we were first starting, how the Pink commander has gone for a lot of air factories. We see a massive air army here for Pink, and really, I think that's going to be plenty for them to stave off anything that comes their way. They do have plenty of landmines set out in what would generally be a very common spot for tanks or docks or anything to kind of get in their way. And really, I think Pink can quite easily just kind of bully anything that tries to get in their way, as they just bomb the crap out of everything in their path. I mean, as you just saw with that little bombing run, they killed the pelter, the metal extractor, tanks, I mean, anything that just happened to be in their way. And finally, some anti-air getting put up, but that just won't do it. And they could honestly probably just fly in and maybe just pick off this tier 2 if they want to get greedy about it.
I think this stage in the game, 10 minutes in, is where we're really seeing the clear and defined sort of difference in experience between the two teams. You know, Pink opened up with, okay, you go down this one lane, build production in factories, I'll go to the back, you know, build up the air, build up the production, and then the third player has started pushing down the opposite side lane, you know. They didn't expand too quickly, they expanded at a comfortable pace, they built up the T2, they knew it was coming, they did a good job of keeping Brown away from all of their vulnerable spots in that meantime. Meanwhile, if you look at Brown and sort of what they've done, they have 2 commanders still sitting back, you know, only one is really needed for eco, the other one hasn't really done much with that commander. They are building up their own T2, yes, but it's in response to Pink's T2, and it's also in a bit of a questionable spot. I mean, that's going to be very, very easy to sort of scout out, it's going to be very easy to destroy if it's spotted. It is a little bit strange, there are no units protecting it, but again, different in experience, I think.
Well, definitely. I think this just comes down into, like you're saying, that experience and allowing just the different styles to show up, because obviously, well, as we see here, these bombers just being able to literally bully around and probably will kill off most of these factories because there's just nothing that can legitimately contest them. This commander might be able to kind of push them off, and they do sort of fly away, but honestly, if they wanted to turn around and kill this tier 2, which, well, they don't actually even have to because the only fabricator that was there to build it is dead, so this thing will start uninstalling itself in a couple of seconds here. They've quite easily put Brown into a very strong headlock, and Brown is in quite the struggling position to try and get out of this.
I somewhat feel like this might be a good time for Brown to say, you know, guys, we had a good run, we did what we could, but maybe we should just call this GG.
I was going to say that's a little brutal, but at the same time,
looking at the situation, it's pretty reasonable, I would say. I mean, maybe they can pull it back. I'd love to see some sort of uber strat, but again, they are playing against, you know, these very, very experienced players with this clear, defined strategy, this beautiful strategy where they have, you know, Brown had momentum earlier in the game, they had the Air Force, they had the expansion, but they didn't really seem to know what to do with
all of those tanks, goodbye. And yeah, I think that will be the final nail in the coffin. I was thinking, you know, maybe they can get something done with these tanks, maybe they can pull it off, but after that, I mean, there is just nothing left here for Brown. I mean, they're just not building anything. They have the economy, they don't have the energy, mind you, but they're not building anything. It's just falling apart.
Yeah, and even though, you know, even though it is a little bit brutal to say that maybe they should call GGs at this point, they are fighting against the tide here, they are struggling. Maybe a good decision to just sort of, you know, call it a day, go into the next game heads held high with a bit of self-confidence, rather than sort of let the Pink team take everything away from them.
Oh, this tier 2 is going to get murdered here, though, and that was exactly what I was trying to say about, you know, or as you were saying, I should say. You know, this is one of those, the air is real. I think tier 2 air is legitimately the only few forms of tier 2 that can get killed off by legitimate mass tier 1. I know the naval, the Kraken can be killed off by tier 1 naval, which is, you know, just balance in itself, but when you're trying to do something like that, it's just really, really hard, unless you know that you have like a 99% just kind of stranglehold in the sky. It's just way too risky.
It was especially strange because Brown actually held the air momentum and then lost it during what seemed to be sort of a scouting / bombing mission turned wrong, where they lost all of their air force, and then responded with sort of T2 air, which is just extremely weird. You know, having lost the air superiority in a raid like that, you would have expected them to say, okay, we're in a spot of trouble with the air, it's going to be difficult to claw back, we need spinners, we need more vehicles.
Right.
You know?
Well,
and the very least static defenses.
I want to say the another like last hope Hail Mary push made by Brown got some pelters and they kind of backed off. Motherships though coming, well, not the motherships, I forget their legitimate name. I'm so used to calling them motherships. I'm sorry.
Phoenix fighters?
I thought they were called bumblebees.
Ah, the bombers.
Yes. Commander though falling, and I think that's going to be the first gong of the bell that signals the end of the Brown reign. And I think it's really just a matter of time now. A lot. Goodness gracious, this air is ridiculous here for Pink. And, well, there's just nothing that can stop this adorable pink tide.
It's like we talked about at the start of the game, very, very dominant on the map. I was a little bit surprised that both teams opened with so little air. I mean, yes, they did open with some, but not really a whole lot. And when you look at sort of the size of the map, the clustering of the mechs, and how you think about how difficult it would be to actually defend all of these places with static defenses or spinners, you realize that mass air is really something that you need. You need to contest the skies, you need to be keeping your opponent on the back foot at least, or you need to be bombing everything you can possibly get your hands on.
Definitely. This last commander, hiding behind some anti-air, might actually be able to survive, killing off the rest of the bombers. These anti-air will have to fly away, and the docks might just come in to take care of it. And is there another commander on the field? I think he's the last one standing.
He is, yeah.
Will definitely be the GG.
I think what we're seeing here is just sort of Pink maybe having a little bit of fun. I hesitate to call it the end. I mean, they could have ended this quite a while ago had they really wanted, but at the same time, Brown is sort of saying, you know, you come in here and kill me, I'm not going to give up. He does have that option.
Well, I mean, if he pulled an Elodia where he just started hugging the commander, then I would probably call it BM, but I think maybe he was just granting them a warrior's death. GG's coming out, and Pink will continue on in this series.
I mean, let's not make bones about it, though. The Brown team going in, even from the start, we said, the least experienced of the team. We both picked Pink as our favourite to win. No one is particularly surprised, but I think Brown definitely deserves honourable mention just for going into this game and doing what they did. They really put forth a lot of effort, even though it didn't turn out to be successful. They were fighting against a much, I hesitate to call them better, but you know, they were fighting a team with a very good strategy, with a very practiced strategy.
Definitely. Apparently I'm having some stutter on my stream. Can you like jump into my stream real quick and just see how it's going? Because apparently we're having a bit of stutter. I lowered the bitrate down to I think like 2000 or something just to be kind of help out the European viewers, but I don't know if it took care of the issue.
I'm not seeing any stuttering on the stream. Oh wait, oh, there it is. I'm seeing a big buffer.
Oh goodness.
Well, no, it's gone. That may well have been my connection and not the stream. So otherwise it looks pretty good. It doesn't look too bad at all.
Okay. Because I was having a couple people just saying, oh, you know, it's the stutter, it's horrible, I'm gonna go watch the other streamers because they're better. And I was like, no, hold up a minute, now you're just insulting me.
Wow. So with that insult to your pride on the record, will you let it stand?
Of course not, because we're the better ones.
Wow. So shots fired. Going from an insult to his pride to shots fired immediately goes, just not taking any of that.
Man, I've been taking crap all day.
Alright, so where are we?
I believe we are now waiting for the next match from, I don't know, somebody, but let's see. Well, it looks like the team averages, I think we have Team 6 actually with the greatest percentage of win right now at 80%, 0.3 times infinity. With, well, Team 10, oddly enough, at 0% and Team 2 at 0%. Right. So, nope.
So here we are quickly joined by Gandalf after the game for an interview. So Gandalf, in that previous game, I mean, congratulations on the win, first of all. But as the match opened up, you guys went for a very, very quick T2 rush. Is this something that you practice, or is this what you maybe think that 3v3 meta should look like? Sort of a very quick advanced victory?
Probably more what the meta should be, because you waste a lot of resources at start just because you can't really abuse how much eco the commanders have at the start of game. So going in early T2, if you can get the resources to put it up and get the map control really early on, especially with like spreading out where you're spawning, I think really early T2 is just extremely easy and extremely possible to do.
So it's not as much of a necessity, it's just more of you have the ability to do it, might as well just do it?
It's more like you need to, though, because it gives you the gigantic eco boost, and on top of that, it gives you the option to a lot more thing for the end game in case if it does get dolly. Like, it gives you it opens you into the middle game and everything a lot quicker than just going a full-on T1 rush.
Okay.
Yeah. So definitely, I mean, going into the whole tournament, I've mentioned it repeatedly, I was very, very excited to see how many teams were going to bust out this early T2, going to take advantage of this Commander eco and build up that really powerful T2 eco, maybe bring out some of the late game toys as things went on, you know, not a necessity, but it does make possible things like nukes, especially in a match where maybe you're up against a bit of a less experienced team, maybe like the one that you just played against.
Well, I mean,
Whoa there.
The PTE is going to have a lot of different changes, and I think T2 is going to even be more viable with the new changes, just because I believe Eco is not as good. Basic Eco is not, like, it means so much more for the advanced Eco than the basic Eco. So, like, leveling up and everything like that earlier in the game is going to mean a lot more. And then to top it off, the way Tevintia is balancing stuff, it seems like the way he's directing it, he wants to make T2 a lot more specialized and everything like that, and make it a lot more viable than it is right now, because as you saw, we didn't make any T2 units other than Babbers. All we did was just spam out everything from T1 as soon as we got the eco to support it.
Yeah, and it worked very, very well for you. It was very successful. Pretty dominating win, I would say. So congratulations on that, and good luck for the finals. I hope to see you there.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, first we have to get out of the losers bracket.
I believe you can do it, guys.
Alright.
Thanks for coming in, Gadolf.
Thank you, guys, and yeah, thank you for your time.
So, anyway,